What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Tim back with another video, and today we have a very interesting topic. Today we're going to be talking about dating, which is always a fun topic. The comment sections are always amazing on a dating video, but specifically we're going to be talking about dating in your middle ages, like post 40, your 40s and 50s. I've just been seeing, not only in real life but also on the internet, more and more people in that age group, which is my age group, just saying they're done. More and more people just saying, hey, I'm 47 and I don't think I'm ever going to date again. I'm 55 and I think I'm done. Just seeing a lot of people, maybe they came out of divorces a few years ago, they tried the dating thing, just couldn't find anybody, couldn't get anything, long lasting, anything real, and they're done. Or they're just people who, they've excuse me, been out on the market for a while and just tired of the dating scene, just over it. Or people who just have come to realize, and I think I might be heading down this path, which is why I wanted to do this video. But I think people who are just realizing that maybe once you hit a certain age, you're just like set in your ways, especially if you haven't dated in a while. It's been almost a decade since I was in like a serious relationship. So like, I think I'm just very set in my ways. You know what I mean? Like, it would be very hard for someone at this age. I'm 45 now. It would be very hard for like someone to come into my life and like acclimate to like how I live my life. I know me, I kind of live a different lifestyle. That makes it harder. But just in general, it's like, I don't know. I felt like when I was younger, I was willing to make that sacrifice. Like when you're in your 20s and your 30s, it's all about meeting somebody, finding love, a family for a lot of people. As I'm getting older, it just feels like, do I even want to make that sacrifice? Do I want to switch up being able to do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it? For what? I mean, don't get me wrong. Love is a beautiful thing. True love is an amazing thing. And I know that there are aspects of this life I'll never get to experience alone. But I think the older I get, the more at peace I am with that. There was a time when I was younger, I wasn't at peace with it. It's like, oh, you got to find somebody. You got to be with somebody. You need to be in love. Now that I'm in my mid 40s, I'm kind of like, do I? Do I want to give up the freedom to travel wherever I want, go wherever I want? Do I want to give that up? And I'm wondering if more and more people in this age group aren't coming to that realization. I'm wondering if more of us just are like, I'm good now, and I'd be curious for people who might be a generation above me, people in their 60s. Was this a thing 20 years ago for them, or is this a new phenomenon? Like, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of things happening that are a byproduct of new technologies we have and just the way the world is changing. And I think sometimes it takes, 10, 15 years to see the results. And I'm wondering if some of the things that happened in the 90s or early 2000s, we're seeing the byproduct of it now. But it just seems like more and more people aren't worried about it, especially once they hit middle age. They're just not worried about it. I mean, maybe it's a tough time to meet people. Maybe it's always been this way, but I feel like it's a tough age to meet people. Because I know for me, like, where do I go to meet women in their 40s? You're not hanging out at the bars, you're not hanging out at the clubs as much anymore. I feel like too, a lot of people in this age range, they got a lot of stuff going on. They don't have as much time to like, date. Maybe more than they would have had a few years ago, maybe when the kids were still home or whatever. But still, like, it's an age where most people got stuff going on. So where do you go to meet women in their 40s? Excuse me. Where do you go to meet women in their 40s and 50s? You can try the apps, and I've tried the apps, but I don't know. the apps, it just feels like a meat market, bro. I don't like the idea of swiping left on people it seems very judgy on the apps. I'm like, no. I find myself like critiquing people and like laughing at people and like noticing people's flaws, you know what I mean? And that's not me. I would never do that in real life. I never do that in real life. But on the apps, I do it. And I'm like, I don't like this. It just seems very meat markety. No. You know, and honestly, and I think a lot of men could attest to this. You know, it is a looks thing on some level. So I'm not one of those guys who just does great on the apps. And it's funny though, different cities I do better. You know, some cities I go and I get a ton of matches, others I get none. But even then, it's that whole, you know, most women do better. An average woman on the app gets more matches than the average man. So even then, whenever I am talking with women, I feel like they've got way more options than I've got. You know what I mean? So a lot of them, you can tell they're talking to like 5 other guys at the same time. And like, I'm big on like energy and stuff. And like, I can kind of tell when, you know, someone's chatting with me or talking with me or messaging with me and they're really into it, or they're just kind of, you know, like if it doesn't seem real, I unmatch. And what usually happens is I get on the apps for about a week and then I get disgusted, I get off. So I'm not downing the apps, they just don't seem to work for me. So I'm like, you got the apps. People will say like, go to the grocery store, which seems creepy. You know, any place that people like, oh, go and look for one. It just seems creepy, bro. I'm not going to the library, creeping around the stacks, you know what I mean? Over there by I was gonna say card catalog, but they don't do that anymore. I don't even know what's in the library anymore. I guess the computer. I don't know. It's just, where do you go to meet women at this age? And then a lot of people at this age have been through, you know, 1 marriage, 2 marriages. I know for me, I've never been married. So if you've been divorced or divorced twice, you know, or if you got like 3 kids, you know what I mean? Like for me, I know there's just a lot. I don't have a lot in common with women my age, just because I'm child free, never been married. You know, sometimes I run across women who are a little jaded from their past. You know, and I'm sure I've said many times, I got emotional walls built up from my past. So, you know, when you're younger, it seems like, you know, you believe in love and you're open to so much. We get this age, we kind of done seen some stuff. You know what I mean? And I think it makes it harder to connect, because you just like, nah, you remind me of my ex, or I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot more reason not to connect than when you're younger and you just believe in it so much. You know, I think when you get this age, maybe you've just stopped believing, you know, and I do believe in true love, and I do think it is possible. I just don't know if it's as probable, you know, as I get older. And I'm just honestly like, I know for me, I'm like, if I could just find a couple more situationships, you know, like I'm cool meeting somebody and we hang out for a month and whatever, you know what I mean? Like I don't, there's no, for me, this ideal that I have to find true undying love isn't as important to me anymore. If it happened, that'd be great. You know, I'd love to meet somebody I could die with. But like, it's not that big a deal anymore. And that seems to be what I'm hearing from a lot of people who they may still casually date and they may, you know, go out every now and then and meet people, but it's just this ideal of like meeting someone, excuse me, I'm still getting over this cold, I apologize. Meeting someone and it being happily ever after, it just seems like once you hit, you know, 43, that just ain't what it used to be. It's just, I don't know. Maybe the world in general, I think people just aren't, you know, so many numbers are down as far as like human connection and relationships around the world. You know, all over the world, people aren't getting as married as much. People aren't having kids as much. I think just in general, we're just not doing those type of things on the levels we used to. So I guess it makes sense that you get to a certain age and you're just like, you know, I think we can all admit that, especially like here in the West, we're in this weird situation where, and I think this affects all age groups, but like our values have kind of changed. But when it comes to dating, we act like we want to hold on to like the old the old values, you know? I don't know. Gender roles are changing, so that changes things up too. Gender itself is changing, you know? It's just there's just so many things that I think you know, you have traditional thinkers, and then you have people who are whose thought pattern, who think along the lines of like some of the new stuff coming out. I spend a lot of time around people in their 20s, things like that. So a lot of the new ideas appeal to me, and I understand, you know, where the kids are coming from. And I do think it is time for some changes along some of those lines. But once again, if you meet someone who still has the older traditional values, it can be kind of, you know, so I think that's an area where a lot of people are butting heads, is just, you know, you might be looking for a certain type of mate, and they may not be on that type of time no more, you know. And I don't think anybody's right or anyone's wrong. It's just we're going through a very transitory period, a period with a lot of change. And I just feel like relationships and dating and marriage and all that is suffering because of it, because there is so much change going on. And I just think more and more people are just done. It's like, why? Because you do, like, every time you meet somebody and it doesn't work out, there's some pain involved, you know what I mean? It kind of hurts, you know, like you get excited, you get hopeful, then it's no. Like, even if you meet somebody and you know it's temporary, like there's that feeling of loss when it finally does end. You know, you enjoy hanging out with that person and then it's over, you know. So like, after so long and getting your hopes up so many times and having them dashed to the ground, or even if they were just like, you know, not dashed to the ground, but it just didn't work, you know, even if it's somebody you meet for a couple nights and you're talking on the phone and then like the red flags come up, you're just like, oh, hey, there's another one. It's easy to just get to the point where you're just like, no, I'm done. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't even want to call it giving up, but I don't think there's anything wrong with exercising your right to be single. Unless the universe or God just throws the perfect person your way, I don't think there's anything wrong with just doing you. You know, learning to love yourself, you know, learning to take full advantage of your freedoms, you know, double down on your hobbies, your passions, doing whatever you want on the weekends, because can't nobody tell you where you need to go or what you need to do. You know, just having time to yourself. A lot of times I think we're, especially people who've been married before, had kids, things like that, might have never had that before. And I think it might feel scary at first, but it's actually pretty cool to just take time to yourself and get to know yourself and like hang out with yourself and watch the shows you want to watch and do what you want. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of cool. And I think if we normalize that, this idea that like, if no one, you know, this whole idea of like, you're nobody if nobody loves you is stupid. If we can get rid of that type of belief and just realize that like, sometimes you got a mate, sometimes you don't. Both are fine. You know, if you're done just being out there in them streets and desperately seeking someone to be with and all the drama that comes with that, you can just say, no, I'm done. And it's fine. You know, some people are blessed with a good mate. Some people aren't. Some people have a bad mate. You know what I mean? So like, it's just different manners of living, you know? So if you're middle-aged, you've been struggling to meet somebody, my 2 cents in this issue is stop looking. You know, you don't have to give up hope. You don't have to give up belief, but like that desperate search, just let that go, bro. You know, delete the apps, you know, just do you. Do the things you enjoy doing. And maybe in the doing of that, you'll stumble across the person you're meant to be with. But if you don't, that's fine too. Just enjoy life, live life. Like, the world's changing, things are different. Like, it's a different world, and we don't have to live based on the views and beliefs that we were taught in the past. It's fine to be single. Enjoy your life. I'd love to hear what y'all have to say about this in the comment box below. You know, like I said, this is always the fun part of a video like this. People agreeing, people disagreeing. Just keep it respectful. Love y'all. Talk to y'all later.